So my recent fascination with older figures from the S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball line has led me down a path of appreciation and enlightenment. Alright, maybe that's being a little bit too dramatic, and it's more like a path of less money in my wallet, but the more I handle these older figures, the more I think to myself, damn, these were really, really good. And while I certainly acknowledge just how far the S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball line has come in terms of engineering and general toy tech, there's a certain charm about the original Figuarts Dragon Ball figures that just gets better with age. I guess the easiest way to describe it is the 2023 Rurouni Kenshin remake anime, or any anime remake for that matter. While we get a cleaner, updated animation style that aligns more with modern standards, there's an aesthetically pleasing grittiness about the original combined with an iconic soundtrack that just makes the 1996 version a classic. And that's exactly how I feel about the original releases. Not all of them. Some of the original releases unfortunately don't hold up as well as their other 1.0 brethren, but today we're talking about two of the best 1.0 figures in the line in my opinion, and despite being one and the same, have vastly different aesthetics, quote unquote, which makes them unique in their own way. I'm talking about the Prince of All Saiyans, the original S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Vegeta, and the Premium Color Edition. The first Super Saiyan Vegeta made its debut way back in 2014 as a premium Bandai exclusive release and retailed for 3,980 yen. I'll let the intelligent people in the comments work out the conversion rate with inflation, but yep, Premium Bandai has been around for that long. The Premium Color Edition came out a year later in May of 2015, along with the Premium Color Edition Future Trunks, which unfortunately wasn't as good. This guy was also a Tamashii web exclusive and retailed for that low price of 3,980 yen. Can you believe it? A web exclusive at budget figure prices. So I know what you're thinking. Vastly different. What are you smoking, right? They're just the same figure with slightly different paint. And while that's technically true, it's all in the details. I just love how the subtle changes with the paint apps kind of give you two different versions of Super Saiyan Vegeta, and if you appreciate the finer details, I think there's a lot to like about the aesthetics between the two. With the original Super Saiyan Vegeta, it was all about the shading. Shading the hair, shading in the skin tone, shading on every corner of the body. Even the hands were shaded. Love it or hate it, this was an era in the Figuarts Dragon Ball line. I felt a whole lot of attention to detail was put in every release. I think the faces are just a tad overdone, but everything else is absolutely gorgeous. The Premium Color Edition ain't no slouch either. They've toned down the shading a little, especially on the face, which I think a lot of collectors prefer. It's more of a natural skin color, and the eyes are painted in a little sharper than the original. Tamashii have also cut back on the shading with the gloves and boots, but we still get that beautiful gradation of light and dark blues on the suit. Something I love about both of these figures are the panel line detailing in the armor, something I don't think I've ever seen in more recent figures in the line. The original release looks a little bit more elegant, a little fancier, with the panel lines around the white areas actually blending into the armor itself, whereas the Premium Color Edition are just straight up panel lines, which still looks great as well. The color palette on both figures are also different. With the original Super Saiyan Vegeta, it's a lighter blue, more on the green spectrum, whereas the Premium Color Edition uses more purple hues with its blue. In saying that, I think both do a fantastic job with the colors in recreating that first time we see Vegeta turn Super Saiyan. Another small but significant difference between the two figures are the boots. The original has completely white boots, which is accurate to how Vegeta appeared in his first Super Saiyan transformation in his fight with the androids, whilst the Premium Color Edition has the mustard colored tips, like how he appears later on in the Cell arc. And out of the 6 official releases we've had so far of Super Saiyan Vegeta, not including his God forms, this is the only release to ever have all white boots. Yes, all the Scatter Vegetas have all white boots as well, but they aren't Super Saiyan. Speaking of first time, the head sculpts on these guys are exactly what I'm looking for. These are dead on first appearance Super Saiyan Vegeta. I've kind of been on an artist history trip lately, and ever since we got the SDCC exclusive Goku, it's just been rewatching specific Dragon Ball Z episodes just to see if I can pick out certain artists' work, which most of the time I can't, but I do appreciate just how accurate these head sculpts represent how Vegeta looked in early Android days, specifically episodes 129 and 130. The hair sculpts are spot on, being a little slimmer, a little more tapered. We don't get as many lines or separations in the hair strands. It's more of a solid block. And even though we only get 3 options, I love these expressions, especially this sexy looking off to the side grin. We weren't quite in pad stamping territory yet, so your eyes are sculpted and painted in, along with every other facial detail. Again, the premium color edition looks a little sharper, but the original release is pretty good too. A little on the heavy side with the shading, but I absolutely love the hair on this one. Darker yellows fading into almost white as you reach the tips with a matte premium looking finish. Superb! The premium color edition is great too. I know some collectors aren't a fan of the glossy metallic look, but this is done really well. The paint also fades in from darker yellow to a more vibrant yellow at the tips, but the paint application is nicely spread out and doesn't feel too thick or overly heavy. I also enjoy the slightly slimmer proportions. I mean, Vegeta is cut and you can see the leg muscles, but he doesn't have huge shoulders like the 2.0 version does, which I think is better suited to the Cell Arc Saga Vegeta. I like the more compact torso and the slightly longer legs, but he's still shorter than the other Z fighters. The rule of thirds apply to Vegeta as well, and he just looks more athletic here. Something that's unfortunately a product of time are the mismatching elbow joints and knee joints. I'm not sure if this is due to discoloration over time or that's the way they've always been from the beginning, but the knees and elbows on both figures are significantly different shades of blue to the rest of the body. I did obviously pick these guys up secondhand, so they have been through some wear and tear. I think for the most part, the plastic quality and joints have held up pretty well over time, especially with the original release. The Premium Color Edition does unfortunately have a super loose neck joint, which I've held together using some blue tack temporarily, but I'll have to try and find a more permanent solution, maybe with some floor polish. But for now, I think they've both held up pretty well. Alright, so let's take a look at articulation, and I gotta say that I think for the majority of, I guess, collectors who've just started or, who've maybe been in this hobby for a couple of years, we're probably more familiar with the 2.0 Vegeta articulation setup than the actual 1.0, because I think this is probably the most common. These two are probably the most common 1.0 Vegetas out there on the market. But still, I feel that a lot of people still don't really have these figures or just kind of, skipped over them altogether. In saying that, I will be using the original Super Saiyan Vegeta for the articulation section, because this guy does have a loose neck joint, which makes it kind of difficult to move. But this guy here, they both have the same articulation setup, the Super Saiyan Blue and the original Super Saiyan Vegeta. I will say though that this feels a lot more premium than this figure. I think, maybe it's either mold degradation or whatever, but this feels a little bit more plasticky, especially in the torso and the chest. This feels a lot denser. The plastic is a lot more, I guess, compact together, and it has a nice weight to it. It feels nice. But yeah, let's have a look at 1.0 Vegeta's articulation, starting off with the head. So he looks up pretty good. Vegeta looking up at the rain, contemplating his Saiyan existence, and he looks down pretty good as well. We have a little bit of left and right tilt before the head kind of pops off, but yeah, we do have a little bit of left and right tilt. It's not the greatest, but a bit of range there. And of course we do have side to side rotation. The arms, I think back in this, stage of the Figuarts line, I wouldn't call these necessarily butterfly joints, because basically it is just a peg going straight into the torso. And you've got these kind of like caps in the chest there to hide the gaps. So while it does get, the range going in and out, I wouldn't really call this, a butterfly joint, because basically it is just a ball hinge going in to the chest. And because it is a ball and socket, it does, have some movement. So arms do move up past 90, which is good. And again, going back to those butterfly joints, or if that's what you want to call it, it does get a decent range. Kind of jumped the gun there. We do have a bicep swivel, which is great. 360 rotation at the shoulder. Double jointed elbows, pretty good. And of course, your traditional swivel and hinges at the wrist. Alright, so this Vegeta here, he doesn't have any ab crunch going back or forth at all, as you can see. But he does have that pop-up mechanism, and it doesn't really do anything. I mean, sure, you can get it to move like a tad forward and just a little bit back, but it does look kind of silly with that peg sticking out there. I don't use it. You can if you want to. It is there. It gives you a little bit of side to side, but basically you're just gonna have a waist twist. But in saying that, the newest Vegeta, the 24,000, doesn't have a great ab crunch either, and I'm okay with this not having any ab articulation. The actual torso does look pretty good. It would have been nice to have some crunch there, but yeah, pretty basic stuff. So to the legs, we do have drop down hips, so you can get Vegeta to kick forward and back pretty good. It's like almost 180 degrees, which is great. He does get an almost perfect side split, very good spready there. You do have the inner thigh cut, hidden in the thigh cut, which is great. Double knees. And the standard Vegeta feet swivel there at the ankle. Not the greatest ankle pivot, but that's on every Vegeta now, so even the newer stuff. His legs, his feet does go down pretty well. And yep, if you push it too far up, it does pop out. There we go. Not too far going up. And he does have a toe hinge. So I mean, all things considered, as a 1.0, as a figure that's, more than 10 years old, it still holds up pretty well. And you can still get, a lot of really cool poses out of this, I think. I mean, it's not phenomenal. It's not great by modern standards. The 2.0 is definitely a lot better. Actually, I wouldn't say a lot better. It is better. Obviously, it does have the ab articulation. But this still holds up, and I think you just got to get creative with it. You just got to know where and how to push it to get those poses, and you can definitely have a lot of fun with this figure, and it looks great, so can't complain there. Alright, boys and girls, it is my favorite part of the video when I can actually do it, but we do have Vegeta here, so yes, it is head swaps. Woo! Okay, alright, so it's kind of actually nice to see all of the Vegeta heads that I've have in my collection, and it's not every single one because there are a couple of Vegetas missing, and I do realize that I probably have to kind of do this again when the next Vegeta release comes out, which is the new Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta that's coming out at the end of this month. So yeah, I'm gonna have to whip out all the Vegetas again, and we're gonna do this all again. So definitely looking forward to that. And not looking forward to it because I don't really look forward to opening up all my Vegetas and having like a ton of boxes on the floor. But you know, it's fun. I do really like this part. Kind of just, you know, waffling on here, but it is nice, like I said, to see, you know, you have all of the 2.0 Vegeta heads here on the right side, which is nice, and then you have all of the I don't want to say, well, they are 2.0s, but you have like the newer kind of like Super Saiyan God, red, blue, the base form from the Super era. So this is Z, this is Super, and then we have the original, you know, Vegeta head sculpt, and then we have the newest Vegeta head sculpt. So I mean, this is like, you know, the history of Vegeta head sculpts, like everything here, and it's kind of nice to see the evolution of, you know, what we had and what we're getting, and you know how far it's come. And yeah, I definitely have to say that this, you know, most recent Vegeta head sculpt is probably the best looking one. I still really like the 2.0, the superhero heads. They're okay. I mean, they do bring, you know, something different to the collection. But, you know, having all of these heads together, I really do like the 1.0 heads as well. And like I mentioned earlier in my review, it does really remind me of, you know, first appearance Super Saiyan Vegeta. So here we have, first of all, the head swaps, the head sculpts swapped on each of the bodies. So we have the original Super Saiyan head on the Premium Color Edition body, and we have the Premium Color Edition head on the original Super Saiyan body. And it works. It looks really good. The skin tones are slightly different, but I think, you know, in a perfect world, this would probably be the ideal combination. Again, I don't mind the heavy shading on the face. I think it looks pretty good. You know, it can be a little bit heavy and at some angles, and depending on the faceplate that you use, this one is a lot cleaner, and it does have the outlined lines around the eyes, which I like as well. But I really do like the shading on this head, on the original Super Saiyan head. But yeah, you know, if you guys are wondering what they look like, here we go. Alright, so we're going to be using the original Super Saiyan body, because I think that's probably the one that everybody, I guess, hasn't seen as much. I mean, you know, they are the same body, different color, but this is probably the, I guess, rarer version. So let's pop this head off first, and let's go in there with the base form head. And we're going to start off with the superhero head. So these heads are a little bit too big. These sockets are a little bit too big. So we're going to be using a little bit of blue tack. Just give me a second to grab some. And, you know, again, the skin tone on the neck is not going to match at all. But I think for this hairstyle, it's a lot tighter. It's a lot slimmer. It does work with this body. So I do like that. That's pretty good. I'm not crazy about the the faces though, but yeah, it's not too bad. All right, next one. Let's go Super Saiyan God. Red version. Yep. That looks pretty good too. And again, this is only like, I mean, the first time we officially saw this was in the manga. He only ever appeared in the superhero Broly movie, but I like it. I think that works pretty good too. Again, slimmer body. fits really well. All right, let's go Superhero Broly, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and yeah, again, it works. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the new Super Saiyan God Vegeta that's coming out at the end of this month. Like I said, that head sculpt looks really good, so will be very interesting to see how everything kind of like fits together, and be really excited to just to try on some different bodies, do some more head swaps. But this is the original Super Saiyan Blue from the Resurrection of F release, and this one fits on perfectly because it is the same body, same pegs. Yeah, it looks alright. I think maybe the blue doesn't match as well, but I think it looks pretty good. Alright, so next up we have the newest 24,000 Vegeta, and again, this socket is like way too big. I don't know if you can see it there, but yeah, that socket is huge compared to the ball peg that we have on this Vegeta. But again, with a bit of blue tack, I like it. The bigger head makes it look, a lot more animated. Kind of similar to the SDCC Goku that we got, the head Chala Goku that we got very recently. It's got like a slightly bigger head, and it just makes it look more, cartoony. Makes it look a little bit more, anime-esque, which I like. And yeah, this looks pretty good too. I'm really liking this combination. And again, slimmer body. This is a earlier version of Vegeta, so I think it works really well. Alright, let's try on some 2.0 heads. Let's grab that blue tech out of that head. And yeah, let's go at the back. And this should fit. I mean, yeah, I think the sockets are the same. This should fit. Nope, too loose. Alright, need a little bit of blue tack. Okay. So, this is the head from the 2.0 Scouter Vegeta. I wish I had the 1.0 Scouter Vegeta. That is like my holy grail of all Vegetas. This is one of them, but, I'm still after that original Scouter 1.0 Vegeta. And this doesn't look too bad, got to admit. I still think this head here matches a little bit better with this body, but yeah, this is not too bad. Alright, next up we have the same head but with a Scouter. So I mean, if Vegeta was still kicking it with Frieza and the Frieza army, this might be what Vegeta might look like. Looks good with the Scouter. Yeah, I like the blue and the pink contrast. I think that looks pretty cool. All right. Next up, we have the original 2.0 Super Saiyan, and this looks okay. I think this head much better suits its original body, like with the bigger shoulders, because this was supposed to represent, like Cell Arc Vegeta, whereas this is more, early Android Saga Vegeta. So, I mean, it looks good, it looks okay, but, yeah, I think I much prefer the original head it came with. But yeah. The updated version, so the latest Super Saiyan Vegeta head, and I really like the color of that kind of like goldish yellow on this, and I think it really works well with this matte, you know, shaded body. The faces are also updated, and I think this works pretty well as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's something about I guess maybe the color of the hair just makes it look a little bit better than the actual like the first version. But yeah, not too shabby. All right, last but not least, we have the Majin Vegeta head, and again, skin tones are totally different. But I do love the face expressions. And yeah, I mean, yeah. Majin Vegeta with his Saiyan armor could look pretty cool. Alright guys, that's head swaps for 1.0 Vegeta. And yeah, okay, yeah, let's move on to using the 1.0 head with a couple of Vegeta bodies. Alright, let's clear this out of the way. And what should we go with first? Let's grab this one. This guy is the Super Saiyan God Broly movie. Super Saiyan God Broly. Super Saiyan God from the superhero movie. And that's not going to fit because the socket is way too big. But yeah, alright. Yeah, not as good as I thought. I mean, yeah, the wider frame body, slimmer head probably doesn't work. Yeah. That doesn't look too good. Alright, next up we have the updated Super Saiyan 2. And again, the neck, yeah, the neck is like a little bit too thick. That's not gonna go in. Or is it because the ball peg there? Huh. Yeah, for some reason that doesn't sit on all too well, but there we go. Gives you some kind of, yeah, I think that looks okay. I mean, if you can get the head to actually sit lower on the body, I think that works pretty good. The colors, I think the brighter blues work a little better with the brighter the hair. But yeah, that's not too bad. If you can just get it to work with the pegs and the sockets, yeah, not too bad. Alright, next up we have Superhero. Dragon Ball Super Superhero. I'm forgetting all of these movie names. Dragon Ball Super Superhero body. Yeah, and that looks okay. Again, you know, it has to do with the pegs. If you can get it to sit flush, sit a little bit lower, I think that'll work. Let's see. The next body is Majin Vegeta. Skin tones don't match, but I like it. I think, you know, because he has the smaller waist, and even if he does have those bigger shoulders, I think that looks pretty good. Again, the only problem is just, you know, getting it to work. So, I mean, that is an option. Next up, we have the 2.0 Scouter Vegeta. Oh, I think this guy has a slimmer neck. Yeah, he does have a slimmer neck. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, hold on. Again, the pegs aren't going to fit, but it does sit a little bit better than your Super Saiyan Vegeta 2.0. Alright, it sits a little bit high. But yeah, I think I like this. Pretty cool. Alright, last but not least, actually no, we have two more. I'm going to go with shoulder pads again, and this one is definitely not going to fit. The shoulders are way too wide, the body is way too wide, and that looks really, really funny. Small head syndrome there. Definitely doesn't work. Alright. This will be the last body. And yeah, of course this works. It's basically the same body, just retooled. Yep. Yeah. Alright guys, head swaps. There we have it. Again, I mean, if you guys do end up picking up either one of these figures, give it a go. Have some fun with your Vegetas. Some work, some don't. But again, these two 1.0 head sculpts are really great. I really do like them. Enjoy. For accessories, it's pretty basic stuff. But we get a pair of fists for punching, a set of open palm finger together blast hands for his signature Big Bang attack, another generic key blast hands for all your barrage key blast attacks, and that's it for the original release actually. But we do get these familiar looking guys for the premium color edition. It's your Gallic Gun or Final Flash hands, because Vegeta only achieves this technique after Cell attains his perfect form. Spoiler alert, doesn't work, but hey, he gave it his best shot. So for me, these archive reviews have always been about appreciation. I know there are a lot of videos out there like, is this figure worth buying in 2024? But I think I do these reviews because I want to share with all of you my excitement for picking up and finally owning something that I've always wanted in my collection. Like I've said before, old is not always bad and new is not always good, and vice versa. We've had some pretty subpar figures come out, well, pretty much every year, and whilst these two releases will never be as well articulated or come with as many accessories as the newer figures, the sculpt work, the paint apps, the overall quality of both of these Vegetas and other older 1.0s for that matter, I think are something to be celebrated. I don't think I'm alone on this, since the original Super Saiyan release still commands a pretty premium price on the aftermarket, along with several other older figures in the line. This hobby can sometimes feel a little bit like a rat race, with every new pre-order, every new Instagram post being filled with just new figures. So I'd really like to take a step back and see more people go back and pose their older stuff as well. Show me your Dragon Ball Z Brolys, your 1.0 base form Gokus. Let's take some time to enjoy the stuff we already have. Super Saiyan Vegeta 1.0, the original version, is actually one of my grails, along with the original Scouter Vegeta, which I've yet to track down yet, but I was really surprised at just how good the premium color edition is too. And if you don't mind articulation that's a little bit limited compared to modern standards, I highly recommend it. These are both beautiful pieces, and I hope to track down more of the 1.0s and share with you guys just how great these figures are. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. I'll be back with Figuarts Itachi a little bit later on this week, and then whatever releases in September, I gotta go back and double check. But yeah, hopefully more archive reviews. I have a tiers list review in the works, so still lots more to come. Alright guys, likes, comments, and subscribe. Remember to do your push-ups, and I'll see you all next time.
よろしく